everybody, and welcome to another edition of On a Couch, talking sports as always. I'm Robbie. This is Kyle. Kyle, how are you tonight, buddy?
I'm doing okay. Just recovering, day by day. How are you doing?
Doing great. Yeah, if you missed last week's episode, you missed the fact that Kyle had a little incident, a little run-in with bike and car.
Yeah.
And so he is, the good news is, as you can see and hear, he is on the mend. He is doing better, which is very important. So, like I said, glad you are doing much better. And, we were joking around off air that we were going to hit the road doing this episode, but Kyle literally should not be hitting any roads, especially if it's off of a bike anytime soon.
Yeah. Honestly, if there's any takeaway from my experience, don't ever pick a fight with a car because cars usually win.
True, unless it's in a bigger car.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Bigger car versus, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, if I had like a truck, then
yeah,
I would have made it out better, I think.
Yeah, well, like I said, we're glad you're doing better. So, hopefully you keep on the road to recovery. So for tonight's episode, we wanted to do something kind of fun. If you've watched our episodes in the past, you'll notice that we have some recurring segments on this show. We obviously have the Souz Reviews, which is a great segment that Kyle does every week. And then we also have sort of my segment, which was Robbie's final thoughts. Now the fall and football season is upon us, or is going on, I should say. It's turned into the Robbie's favorite / fantasy football recap. And so we decided, yes, exactly. Beautiful segment. They're both great. Anyway, so what we thought would be fun to do today is just make those segments the whole show. Literally, this episode is going to consist of our two segments, the Souz Reviews and Robbie's favorite fantasy football recap. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be classic. And we're both really excited to share with you our sort of more in-depth versions of our respective segments. So very, very excited. And so to kick things off, no pun intended to my football segment that's coming up, we're actually going to start off with my buddy here, on this side of me, Kyle, with his this week's edition, I should say, extended version of the Souz Reviews. So Kyle, why don't you take it away and tell us what you've got cooking for this extra special Souz Reviews this week?
So this was an interesting one because I was originally going to talk about one thing, which I'll start off with, but then another thing kind of popped up. So I was going to kind of add that other segment on to talk about for the next round. So the first thing I wanted to go over now, this is I want to talk about a video game system, a retrospective on a system that I hold near and dear to my heart. And I know Robbie really likes this one too, and I'm sure a lot of you guys really had a lot of great nostalgia for this. But I really want to talk about a very landmark Nintendo system. And can you guys recognize this controller? You guys remember what system this belongs to? I'll give you 3 seconds.
Ding.
Ding. And if you answered Super Nintendo, you were wrong because this is N64. This is
classic gaming system right there.
So good. It was it's a gaming system. It's a system that didn't have a huge library of games, but I feel like overall it was a very impactful system, and it really had a lot of landmark titles on it. All the Mario games pretty much were fantastic, and it was actually one of the first forays into 3D. And one of the interesting things is it was a system that, unlike other 3D systems that came out, you had PlayStation 1 and the Sega Saturn, which used CDs for their games. This system decided to use cartridges, just like, the NES, the Super Nintendo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it had a lot of great, just very memorable games. And like the one I'm holding in my hand, Mario Kart 64. It's just a very classic racing game. It's you had a lot of older series that were on Nintendo, Super Nintendo that made the big jump to 3D. And while some of them didn't work out quite as well as others, for the most part, most of the games on the system I thought were very, very well handled, very well made. And I was going to actually ask Robbie if you had any games that you remember from the system that really stood out to you,
Yeah, so it's funny because I actually didn't actually own a Nintendo 64 myself. I for those of you who don't know, I haven't owned like a really new gaming system in quite a while. My gaming history basically consists of a PlayStation 1 followed by a PlayStation 2. But so it's kind of funny that all of my Nintendo 64 experience basically came with this guy over to the side of me, Kyle, basically playing with him on his Nintendo 64 all those years. And I would have to say that my favorite game in Nintendo 64, and it's funny because you just bring up another game, you just brought up another game from the series, and this probably will not shock Kyle in the least, Mario Tennis.
Yeah.
Mario Tennis, I mean, if you know me and you know Kyle's and my gaming history, that was our go-to game whenever we would play Nintendo 64 together. We would go, even to this day sometimes, like we still go ham over Nintendo 64. Over Mario Tennis, and just such a great game because you can pick all the characters from the Mario series. And by the way, Bowser always seemed to be my go-to when we played, and you actually get to play legit tennis matches with the characters. You could play singles or doubles, and definitely very interesting. I was not terrible at the game, but I definitely was not the best at it either. I was good serving and like hitting balls right to me, but like some of the movement parts and hitting balls on the run definitely were a bit more of a challenge for me always. But I had a lot of fun with it. I really enjoyed Mario Tennis, getting to play against Mario and Baby Mario and Luigi and all those characters. It was really a good time. So definitely, whenever I think of Nintendo 64, Mario Tennis, that was the go-to. That still holds a special place in my heart when I think about that system and think back to all the great times we had playing on that system.
Nice. Yeah, no, well said. Yeah, easily Mario Tennis, I think, is easily one of the best multiplayer games on that whole system. Probably my favorite sports game overall on that system. That system had a lot of, even the Madden series, found its way onto Nintendo 64, and it was like the first, full-blown 3D, along with PlayStation. It was really great. And a lot of times, the graphics are pretty dated, and some of the controls, you look at this controller, and it's such a big controller, especially when you look at
the buttons are so small, though. That's the other thing. Is like the buttons are are a little bit on the smaller side.
Yeah, you're right. Like especially like the C buttons, because they they kind of this was Nintendo's first time using a joystick like this.
Yeah.
So I feel like they were kind of like still figuring out like what buttons to use. So you're right. Like some of the buttons end up kind of smaller than the others, and it was a little confusing because I remember my mom, who used to be a very big gamer, she used to be a big fan of like Nintendo and Super Nintendo. Once this came out, she was like, nope, I'm all done. Nope, no more video games for me. So.
Classic.
Yeah, I get it. It's a little confusing, and the joystick can kind of like. The only problem with the joystick is that over time, when it gets old, when you use it a lot, especially when you play Mario Party and do that mini game that spins the joystick like this, it kind of like the movement isn't as smooth as when you first got it new.
Right.
But it's the way it is. But aside from that, it's a very good system. It really did a great job, like I said before, at bringing titles that were previously in 2D on like the Super Nintendo and Nintendo, and they made it into 3D. Like Mario 64 was a great like exploration platformer, and it really set the bar for future platformers. And same thing with Zelda. Zelda had such a great transition. It was a great kind of like adventure game, and the puzzle elements were just like you never really saw games like that. And it really also set the bar for lots of future games. And whether it's in the Zelda series or just other adventure games that came up, like Uncharted and Tomb Raider. Well, actually, no, sorry, Tomb Raider technically came before Zelda, but anyways. But I feel like all the series kind of influence each other in certain ways, kind of like in music. Yeah, it was just a great system. If you're looking to buy the system, the thing about this system is this is the first system that actually ended up using 4 controller ports. So up to 4 friends can play on one TV, which at the time was unheard of. The most you'd usually have on a game system was 2 players, and within 64 they really changed the game, no pun intended. And just they brought up to 4 players, so you could play games like Mario Kart 64, Mario Party, another great multiplayer game. It's like a virtual board game kind of with like all these mini games. So if you get into like the Mario Party series, that's a great one. And trying to think if there's any other good games. Oh, GoldenEye 64, Perfect Dark. They had a lot of great first-person shooters. They had a lot of really different genres of games. Like I said before, adventure, platforming. The only thing to remember for N64 was they didn't do a lot of RPGs outside of Paper Mario, which is like a Mario Art side-scrolling kind of RPG. They didn't do a lot. So if you're looking for a system with more RPGs, you want to stick with PlayStation from that era, because PlayStation had all the RPGs. They had all the Final Fantasy games. N64 did not have any Final Fantasy games. But no, if you're looking for a very versatile system, and if you can get over the kind of like the dated graphics and sort of the older controls and the older game mechanics that maybe, it's a great system to have. I think, just growing up with a system, I think it's a system you can easily get back into. And yeah. And another quick shout out, quick underrated hit from N64 I really want to talk about is Zelda Majora's Mask. It was the follow-up to Ocarina of Time, and it used this really cool like Groundhog Day system where you had 3 days to basically prevent the moon from falling onto the earth. So it was a really cool game. It kind of continued. It was the straight-up sequel to Ocarina of Time, and it was a really great, very different type of game. Used a lot of time travel in that game. So if you're looking for, I can talk on and on about the system. There's so many great things about it, but I feel like we're gonna end up having a 2-hour episode if that happens. So yeah, if you guys have anything you want to write in the comments, if you need any game suggestions, if you're looking to buy the system, it's not super expensive. You can probably buy on eBay for like anywhere between, I'd say, $50 to $70, or even at your local mom and pop game store. It's a really great system. It's a great blast to the past. So yeah, definitely recommend it. N64, good system.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I completely agree. Lots of good stuff. Definitely on, like I said, what was a classic system, and still is going strong even today. For sure. Now there was a second thing you said you wanted to talk about as well.
Yeah. So and I'm also going to need your help on this one as well.
Of course. I'm ready.
Yeah. So this actually has to do with some really, really upsetting news that happened today, and I'm sure a lot of you know now.
Oh yeah.
Famous guitarist Eddie Van Halen passed away.
Yeah.
And it just really.
Rest in peace.
Oh my God.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, and he was only 65 too. He wasn't even that old, really.
Throat cancer. It's very sad. Very sad.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just he had a really I feel like he had a somewhat tough life, as a lot of rockers do, because he had a lot of a lot of stuff going on. But no, he was one of the best guitarists, I think, of all time. He like really put that band on the map, Van Halen, and
Oh yeah,
um,
legendary band, Van
oh, so good.
Halen.
They were amazing, and like, they had so many great songs like Dreams and talking about love, and they even had two. Fun fact: they actually had two singers at one point. Well, not at the same time, but they started off with a singer, David Lee Roth, and then after I guess a lot of like heat between David Lee Roth and the rest of the band, I guess they ended up kicking him out or he left. I'm not exactly sure, and then they end up switching over to Sammy Hagar as the lead singer. Um, who I'm sure you know from the song Heavy Metal and stuff like that. And both of them have very different styles of singing, so it was kind of cool to hear, to hear both their styles with Eddie Van Halen's like amazing guitar riffs and all that stuff. And what's really cool too is Eddie Van Halen also helped out a lot of other musicians too. Like he was the guitarist in Beat It, actually. You know the Michael Jackson song Beat It?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah, he was actually a guest guitar on that.
I did not know that. Very, very cool.
Yeah, and even nowadays, he actually he guest played on another song. This is the strangest mix of artists, like, but I love it because it's so different. So LL Cool J made an album. I want to say it was like maybe like 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, and he had a song called "Not Leaving You Tonight," and Eddie Van Halen actually guest appeared, or he guest played some guitarists on it, along with Fitz and the Tantrums as well. So just imagine you have LL Cool J, Fitz and the Tantrums, and Eddie Van Halen all in the same song, which is just like
What I mean, that's just a medley of greatness right there.
oh, I love it. It was wild. But yeah, no. So what were some of your favorite Eddie Van
Oh
Halen or
boy.
Van Halen songs that you really enjoyed?
Yeah, I mean there are several that come to mind. I'm Running with the Devil,
Yeah.
Panama, Jump,
Yep.
Right Now. I mean
Oh yeah,
the
classic Sammy
yeah,
Hagar one
yeah
right now.
the list goes on and on when I think about Van Halen. Just a legendary band in their own right. Certainly Eddie Van Halen, the legend on the guitar, and yeah, I mean, just so many to choose from, and definitely sad to hear of his passing, but definitely the music will live on in infamy for sure. I mean, they've really just given us so many hits that just continue to this day to just rock people's radios and homes and just everything. So yeah, no, I mean, like I said, so many between him and between sort of his era and the Hagar era. I mean, Van Halen just provided, like I said, so many classic tracks that it could fill up a whole like music library in and of itself. Just some classic Van Halen. But yeah, a lot of good stuff. A lot of good pump up songs too. I think the thing like about their materials, a lot of those songs can be used like we're a sports show, obviously, and a lot of those songs are used all the time. For sporting events and pump ups to sporting events. I mean, how many times at a game? I mean, are you at a game and you hear Panama blasted over the loudspeaker right now, or Jump, or just all the time, and really they really certainly set themselves up to really corner be one of the bands to corner that market, and again to this day just continue to the music continues to live on in infamy, which for sure.
Yeah, no, well said. They were just such a great band, very very influential on future artists, and I just love just kind of where they, just you're right. Like you said, their whole music library was just so great. They even remade a Kink song, "You Really Got Me," and just when you hear Eddie Van Halen do the guitar solo, it was so different from the way the Kinks did it because
Oh, is that song? It's like, you really got me. You really
yeah,
got me, girl. You really got me now. You got
yeah.
me so. Oh, that one. Okay, got it. I haven't heard. I don't know if I've heard their version, but I'll definitely have to look that one up because that's a really good song in its original version. But certainly interested to hear, Van Halen. If I haven't already heard, I may have and just didn't realize it. But have it to hear Van Halen cover a song like that certainly adds some props to it for sure.
Oh yeah, easily. And it's just funny because when you hear like the distinction between I forget the lead guitarist of the Kinks. I think it was Dave Davies. I think Dave Davies was the guitarist. And don't get me wrong, he became a really great guitarist. But when he was kind of like starting off early, he was just okay. Like he did a lot of planking and stuff like that.
Ray Davies and Dave Davies were the guitarists.
Yeah, yeah. So I forget which one played the. There was like that solo, and you really got me mid song, and it was just kind of funny to hear because you could tell like he was still kind of learning how to play guitar. I mean, don't get me wrong, their whole music library is great, but I remember their guitar was kind of like it started off okay, and then they got better and better. I feel like as the band went on. Whereas Eddie Van Halen, when he went into that guitar solo, he was just you could just hear him going up and down the chords and everything. It was just so epic. And yeah, he was just such a great guitar player. And big shout out to Eddie Van Halen. It was really sad he passed away, but Eddie, you will be remembered. So just
I couldn't put it better. Could not have put it better. Well said, my friend, and well done with that just epic Souz Reviews segment for this episode. I mean, just one of the best Souz Reviews segments ever, and it was classic. So now we are going to move our way into my segment, which is Robbie's favorite fantasy football recap. I'm going to start off with my fantasy football recap if my phone would let me do so. There we go. Because I've been struggling this season in fantasy. Not going to lie to you. I'm 0-4. Definitely. I've been close in like all my games, but just have not been able to get over the hump quite yet. So I'll be looking to do so. Hopefully, this coming week we shall have to wait and see. But yeah, this week, unfortunately, I dropped another tough one. 189.88 to 134.10 was the final score against me. I'm just going to sort of read down how all my players did, and also in relation to their projected numbers. Deshaun Watson, my quarterback, had 36 points, was projected to have 42. Allen Robinson, wide receiver, had 22 points as opposed to a 16-point projection, so outperformed that projection. The other Bears wide receiver I have, Miller, only had 3 points, though, projected to have 9, so a tough showing for him. A good showing by Dalvin Cook, Minnesota running back, had 33 points as opposed to his 20-point projection. Also, my other running back, Kareem Hunt of Cleveland, had 21 points, was only projected to get 11. Tough showing for my tight end, Zach Ertz of Philadelphia, 4 points, was projected to get 13. LaShawn McCoy, unfortunately, left his game early due to injury, so only got me 1 point. My kicker had a really tough game. Greg Zuerlein of Dallas, 2 points, projected to get 10. Anytime your kicker has a rough game, it could definitely bring you down. And then the Baltimore defense with 8 points, projected to get 16. So couple of, above par performers and then a few not so par. And so unfortunately, just like I said, couldn't get the job done this week. So now I moved to 0-4, looking to turn things around this week, finally get a W. I'm favored in my game this week, so hopefully, I can get the job done. We shall have to wait and see. But yeah, definitely it is fun to be playing, though. I mean, especially given that there was so much uncertainty, regarding whether or not there would be an NFL season this year. And so the fact that we get to have an NFL season and have fantasy football because of it definitely is a positive thing. And that's a perfect segue right into my favorite football recap. Unfortunately, both my favorite teams took the L this weekend. Boston College suffered their first loss of the season, falling 26-22 to North Carolina. Very exciting game. Yeah, North Carolina, number 12 in the country. BC was 2-0 coming in as well. Unfortunately, just could not quite get over the hump. They were down, I think it was, what was it? They were down 24-16. Scored a touchdown, and then went for the 2-point conversion. But unfortunately, the 2-point conversion was picked off and run back to the end zone for 2 points. So hence the 4-point difference there, 26-22. So BC, like I said, really a very valiant effort against a 12th ranked team in the country, and really gave a great accounting of themselves. And so very excited. I definitely have been very excited watching this BC team this season, and I hope that they can, continue, sort of was looking like the potential for a very positive season. They continue this weekend. They'll be playing Pittsburgh, always a tough foe. So hopefully they can bounce back and get a W against the Panthers this coming weekend. And of course, the Patriots were playing probably their toughest test of the young season, the Kansas City Chiefs, and kind of a crazy circumstance for the game, as it was announced on Saturday that Cam Newton tested positive for COVID-19, as I'm sure people out there watching have heard. So the game actually had to be postponed from Sunday, and they moved it back a day to Monday night last night, as we're recording this on a Tuesday. Unfortunately, that also meant that Cam could not play in the game, so the Patriots had to go to Brian Hoyer, who certainly had some struggles. So then they benched him and went with Jarrett Stidham, who actually at one point got the Patriots back to within 3, 13-10. But unfortunately, the Chiefs had other ideas as they scored a touchdown and then had a pick six as the Chiefs came away with a 26-10 victory, which was not as bad as I thought it could have been. All things considered, I thought actually the Patriots gave a better showing of themselves given the circumstances than I thought they would, to be honest with you. But before I go on, Kyle, just a quick reaction from you to Cam Newton. I mean, after how well he had done the first 3 weeks, unfortunately coming down with the dreaded COVID-19 and having to miss this week's game at least.
Yeah, that was wow. I remember when I saw that, I'm like, oh no! I was really surprised. I thought, I don't know. It seemed like, I guess maybe because they were from New England, maybe they had a better chance of not getting it. But you never know with COVID, Just
yeah. I mean, heck, the president of the United States got it. So I mean, what does that say for everybody else?
Yeah, that's a good point. But then again, I mean, sorry. That's why you should wear masks, like when you go into big gatherings. Like, but anyways, I could, yeah.
We don't want to get too political here on a couch talking sports.
Nope. I'm gonna just reserve all that for over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was pretty surprising. I did not expect that, especially that early in the season. So I was a little worried for the Patriots, but it's not like at least they really tried. And when you have your first string quarterback, out for the game, that's a tough game. That's a
Yeah.
tough position they were put in. So yeah, I really I feel bad, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Exactly. And like I said, it was not as bad of a showing as I thought it could have been because the Patriots actually had a bunch of chances. Unfortunately, left some points out on the field, but definitely, like I said, better accounting of themselves than I thought it was going to be. So the Patriots will move on. They're now 2-2 on this young season, and will face Denver this coming weekend. So hopefully, can get back on track, and we'll see who their starting quarterback is come Sunday afternoon. It could be one of three people. So we'll have to. That'll sort of remain to be seen come Sunday afternoon. Obviously, in the next episode, I will have a recap of said Patriots Broncos game as part of, like I said, the Robbie's fantasy favorite football recap. That is a mouthful. Don't say that three times fast. I can barely say it once, apparently. But yeah, so that is going to wrap it up for this week's edition of On a Couch Talking Sports. Thank you so much, as always, for joining us, everybody. Great episode. Really, just having some fun with a couple of our favorite segments and sort of recurring segments here, and hope you guys enjoyed an episode based on recurring segments. Maybe some point down the road we'll try to do it again because I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was fun.
Definitely
We
a
should
lot of
definitely do that for a future
yeah,
episode.
definitely a lot of good material there. So yeah, thanks as always for watching, everybody. That's gonna do it for this week's edition of On a Couch Talking Sports. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Don't ride your bikes on rotaries, and yeah, and as always, he's Kyle. I'm Robbie, and we are signing off from our chairs. But we will see you next time on a Couch Talking Sports. See you, everybody.